Right, we'd like to start with Pledge of Allegiance, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Carol, could you do the roll call, please?
Ray Antonacci.
Here.
Dan DeVito.
Here.
Ken Demers.
Here.
Lou Cavallo.
Here.
Dave Pope. Robert Marinero.
Here.
Joe Duva.
Here.
Jack McHugh. Richard Antonetti. John Nygren.
Here. I'd like to see Bob Marinero for Dave Pope. Yeah. Thank you. Public participation is the next item on the agenda. If anybody wants to, has anything to say, please step forward, give us your name and address. Okay, move on. We have the meeting of regular meeting, May 7th, 2025, like 7th. I imagine they're not done, so do I have a motion to table that item? So moved. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Staff report, Mark.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members. In no particular order, we are, I believe, close to implementing the zoning application portion of Municity. I had given last month, well, first of all, we've been working pretty diligently on providing all the information that the Municity has asked of us. As you know, this has been going on for way too long. And I gave them a June 30th deadline to implement at least the zoning application portion, and it appears that we're going to meet that. So as of June 30th, of course, the building permits have been online for a while, and the zoning permits will be up and running. And we have also gotten some of the land use applications, site plan, special permits, subdivision. They should be online as well. In the meantime, we have been using Municity to track the land use applications, and that's been a tremendous help in terms of running the office. Again, in no particular order, Cameron has attended a week of classes with Casio towards a certification. He did that in May. There will be another round in the fall, I believe, and he would then be eligible to be certified as a zoning technician. Once he does a case study, he would be eligible to be a certified ZEO. As you know, I'm sure the budget was approved. Our budget remained pretty intact, thankfully. So with the new year, we have funds available for our zoning consultant. If the commission wishes to work on further what we called tier 2 issues for the next year. We have funds available to integrate Municity with Q Alert, which is the 311, not only complaint, but the 311 system that the town uses to track those such items. And this will coordinate and integrate Municity with Q Alert. we have funds available for for an intern. And significantly, we did get funds for for another vehicle, a new vehicle. This would be for the building department. So we'll have, for the first time in probably 25 years or 30 years, two brand new vehicles available to us. We've been Cameron has been primarily conducting routine inspections for commercial sites and for enforcement sites that come to our attention through blight. We've paid particular attention to Turnberry Estates since that's started up, and it's in a kind of precarious position on the landscape for a startup, as a fair amount of land is now open, and it's always, that area has always been prone to drainage issues to Main Street. I think we mentioned last month that we had spotted some issues, but they continue to work on that, and it seems that they have a good control on the erosion controls. We continue, the reason I mention this is we've gotten, some folks have appreciated the fact that we continue with pre-application meetings with clients and constituents to assist them in their projects. One last thing I'll mention, because the chairman brought it up, is the medical building on Straits Turnpike. So as a part of their approval, they were to screen the rooftop units. And as you've probably seen, there's several of them, and they're elevated more than normally because of the specs for the building, and because they were concerned about the units picking up dust or debris. And since it's used as a medical facility, they were sensitive to that. But as you can see, they're very visible. So they were to screen them, but over time they have attempted to push back on the regulation and assert that they're not, that since it wasn't specifically in the condition of approval, that they do not have to screen the units. I've disagreed many times with that assessment, which to me basically says if you're going to use RTU units, they have to be screened. We met with Borghese Engineering a couple of months ago. They showed us the screening that they would use, and I had received a letter 3 weeks or so ago, again stating that they feel that they are not subject to that requirement, since it wasn't specifically called out in the regulations, which again, I continue to disagree with. In order to issue the CO, we did take a $3,000 bond. But I mentioned that again because it came up, and so I gave them another deadline to install the screening. I have not heard back. I wanted to bring it to your attention because this may have ramifications for future conditions of approval that that are not that are made conditional, or that we in our attempt to assist a client in getting their building online, it could possibly cause some concern and issues in the future. So I just wanted to bring that up. And that's Cameron. Okay, that's all I have right at this point.
Through the chair, I have a quick question, Mark. Have you gotten an opinion from Paul Jessel?
No, not at this point. I have not.
When is the deadline for the second deadline, I should say?
I think I gave them to June 30th. The original was May 30th. Because they've occupied the of course, they've occupied the building back in the winter.
Right.
And we gave them several months to May 30th. And so I've given them, I believe, I don't have that in front of, to June 30th.
Yeah. And I think in the past, the approval trumps the regulation. If it's in there and they agreed to it, they should do it. And I think you should padlock the place if they don't. Just saying.
Through the chair, what's our recourse if they continue not to do it?
Well, we did take a bond, so the recourse could be to call the bond. The other recourse would be, and I had discussed this with Jeff, the building official earlier, is to rescind the CO.
So, through the chair, sorry. I know we have a bond of $3,000, but that's not nearly enough.
I know.
I mean, that's not even, so I would say moving forward, if we're in this position again, we make the bond larger.
Yep,
Just
I agree.
so we have that leverage. Because now it's like, well, our building's open. What are you gonna do?
Yep. We did rely on, and again, it's probably a mistake. We relied on their estimate, for putting those up.
Yeah.
And I understand in the past, I've taken much larger bonds to cover, items like that.
Yeah.
And that's probably a mistake on our
Yeah,
part.
that's probably like 15 grand, 20 grand.
Maybe two good suggestions. I'll consult with Paul Jessel, and I'll consult with Jeff, and maybe the threat of rescinding the CO might push it forward.
Yeah. Buy some big padlocks for 3,000. Chain the door.
That could work too.
That would be cool. Bike locks are cheaper. Yeah.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda, oh, by the way, a comment on this item while we're here. I think that for the commissioners,
Medical
that
building,
we need to recognize that being good guys and leaving matters to the discretion of the peaceful workout between the applicant and the staff sometimes backfires. And this is an example of that. And I think we have to be conscious from now on of making sure that everything is committed to, all the details are committed to by the applicants. I think we can get burnt. I think once they get through us, they can do what they want to do if they want to do it. And I'm sorry, but I think it's time to toe the line a little bit with the applications. All right, so I want to read. I normally don't have a report, but recently the Connecticut legislature passed a bill. I distributed it to the commission, copy of the proposed bill. And I want to read an article that's an opinion letter into the record. It says, start with Connecticut, whose legislature on Saturday passed a bill, HB 5002, that should be rightfully called the Destroy Connecticut Towns Act. It's headed to Democratic Governor Ned Lamont's desk for signature. The law dictates how many low and moderate income apartments each Connecticut town must provide, and mandates that towns foot the bill for the schools, parks, public transportation, and other services low-income residents will need. Local taxes will soar. The bill explicitly says its purpose is to ensure, quote, economic diversity, unquote, in each town. This is about social engineering, not remedying housing shortages. Democrat Bob Duff, the state Senate Majority Leader, says, we don't want to segregate people based on a zip code. Everyone, regardless of income, should have the opportunity to choose to live in any town. Connecticut lawmakers are going even further in lixing the local rule. Ordinances that protect the appearance of a town will be overruled. This is my favorite. Multifamily buildings of up to 24 units will no longer have to provide off-street parking. Envision cars lining every residential street. Forget property rights. Each town must set up a fair rent commission with final say over whether a property owner is charging a fair rent. It's a town-by-town rent control of the kind that so distorted New York City's housing market. Towns will be forced to welcome vagrants who want to sleep in parks and public lots. The bill outlaws hostile architecture, meaning park benches with armrests and divided seating or stone walls with spikes on top that deter sleeping in the rough. Instead, the bill launches program of mobile showers and mobile laundry services on trucks to serve the homeless wherever they choose. Picture the mobile showers pulling up to the common park on the town's main street. How can kids walk along town with their pals if there are homeless encampments? All right, I read that in. I think that we have to note that our local legislature, our local zoning is subject to the state statutes, and this is what we're going to be faced with in the near future. So everybody should be aware. New business, site plan modification from Solely Engineering for an approved tractor supply company located at 9 Hillside Avenue. There we go.
Good times.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Are these,
Am
I on? There we go. You're on already. You're good. Yeah, at this point, it doesn't. Good evening again, members of the commission. I'm Matt Darling, owner of Palm Coast Capital, the applicant for the Tractor Supply development. We're here again tonight for I believe, a site plan modification, and with me is Sam Malfante, our chief engineer from Solely Engineering. Go over some of the changes that we've made. Again, we received approval a couple months ago, and due to some of the extensive earthwork that was going to be required that we didn't quite catch, or we didn't understand the extent of it until after the approval. We've made some modifications to do that. And I think in doing so, we've been able to give the town a little bit more in the way of some sidewalk work and some clarification on some future park areas that we've been able to show in good faith from the current owner down by the Veterans Memorial Park. So I'll leave it up to Sam to go over some of the additional changes, and then we'll be here for some questions if you have any. Yeah, so good evening. Sam Alfronti. I'm a civil engineer with Solely. Our offices are in Monroe, Connecticut, and Norwood, Mass. I've been working with staff. I've kind of been behind the scenes this whole application through the approval process. This is the first time appearing in front of the board, so the commission, I wanted to introduce myself. As Matt mentioned, when we were going through prior to construction, the earthwork numbers and the blasting cost associated with the proposed FFE that was approved, it kind of outweighed the original numbers that we had kind of penciled in for construction. And when we got those numbers back, it was pretty clear that the only way to make this development feasible was to raise the elevation of the building to minimize the blasting and the rock removal and the earthwork. So this layout here has been submitted. I know you guys saw it previously at the previous meeting, but it wasn't discussed. But it modifies the FFE and raises it about 7.5 feet from the approved finished floor elevation, which significantly reduces the earthwork numbers and the blasting and the rock removal that would be required. As you guys are well aware, it's a challenging site to get a driveway off Riverside, just because of the pad elevation of the former factory there. So this is the proposed layout and the submitted layout for the modification. We were conscious in this revised layout to ensure all the screening, the landscaping, the open space, the connectivity, as well as kind of improving some of the interlot connectivity with the future development of, I'll call it the adjoining parcel to the right, which has been kind of a topic of discussion. So this layout, we believe, is an enhancement to what was approved. It's a significant increase in open space and common area. We were able to maintain the common area in a central location down by the driveway entrance off Riverside. And we do have an assurance from the property owner for the adjoining parcel that it's outlined in red, that area kind of adjoining, I believe it's the town green, if I'm not mistaken. That's where he's planning to do his open space and common area once that is, an application is submitted to the commission. And a letter's been submitted to staff. I do have the letter on hand from the property owner kind of providing that assurance. That was submitted earlier this morning. I'm not sure if that's been forwarded or not, but he asked that that be put into the record as well. But I'd be happy to answer any questions. The square footage of the building is the exact same parking. We still have the EV parking, EV charging, and the future EV ready spaces. The loading operations are similar. They're kind of just reversed. We have a turning circle instead of a hammerhead K-turn. The turning circle does provide the radius enough for a WB-67, the largest tractor trailer, to make a complete U-turn. And the stormwater management system is designed in similar, in a similar way to what was approved, with all state statutes being met and regulations. So I'd be happy to answer and go into detail if there are any questions or comments. But that's a high-level overview of the project.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commission members, any questions?
Through the chair.
Sorry.
Through the chair, what does it say in the red box? Because I don't believe that's in our drawing.
It's not. That was something that we spoke with staff, I believe earlier this week. So that's the potential open space and common area. And I believe it says to be reviewed and permitted under separate application. We've been speaking with staff about this week. And any development on that other side of the lot would come before the commission, and you guys would have a chance to review and approve that project. But we do have a letter from the owner. His full intent of that development, if there is to be a development there, is to have a continuous common area with that, the town green area.
When we use words like potential and intent, it doesn't give us the assurance that I think we're all looking for up here. And I know that's beyond what you can guarantee, but potential can change very easily. And that doesn't, at least it doesn't make me feel good. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but obviously you could come in for a site plan change. So even if he said this is the space and then later on he wanted to change it with his later development, I think that would be fine. But to just say, well, it's potential, doesn't mean it's going to happen. I mean, he could take it and move it to the back of the property and say, well, I said it was potential, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, and I do want to be clear, if that were to happen, it would come through an application through the commission. So you guys would have a chance to review that on that application. And that's kind of where we are at with this application. It's
The owner also realizes that, I think there's been, some history there that we're not a part of, but although we are acquiring the lot. But the owner wanted to recognize the good faith that he has with the same letter that he submitted for the lawn mowing and the fence removal and all that. That has happened. He has mowed it. It looks a lot better. So he was hoping that would reflect his good faith that this future area that you'll commit him to would be in a good area, especially an area that would, be contiguous with the Veterans Memorial Park. So, again, we can't have any control over that because we're not acquiring that piece.
I
but
understand that.
he just wants that to be known.
Well, the open space on the plan that we have is isolated between the driveway or the ingress and egress to this site and the detention pond, okay? So it doesn't meet what we wanted as open space whatsoever. And we're being asked to approve an amended site plan, and the site plan doesn't show us what we want. And a letter from a third party here, who happens to be the owner of the rest of the property, is not included in the site plan. What we need to do is approve something that's in front of us and solid in the site plan. And I have some suggestions I'd like to make that we'd like to see, I'd like to see at least considered, okay? This was all part of a PDD that the commission had approved, and this property could, be considered for. we'd like to make the retention pond mowable. So take out the trees on the sloping area and make it so you can mow around the retention pond. And don't put deciduous trees around it because the town has spent a lot of money cleaning out leaves that have fallen from deciduous trees into the retention ponds around the town. Replace the trees with evergreens, but still provide us growth feet screening so you know, protect the view for the building, right? We'd like to see sidewalks in front of this property. We'd like to see the curbing and a snow shelf of 3 or 4 feet, a sidewalk thereafter, and possibly benches, lighting, you know, planters, something to make to bring the entire property, including going all the way to Memorial Park, because the rest of the other owners of this property also own that property that behind Memorial Park. We'd also like to see the open space so that it can connect to the balance of the project and not be isolated by the roadway coming into the property. So those are suggestions that I'd like to see incorporated. Also, if there's a way to connect with I know the owners aren't in front of us now. The owners of the rest of the property aren't in front of us, but they certainly can work in conjunction with you on providing property like behind the memorial, the Veterans Memorial. They have their property and they have a setback of, I believe it's 35 feet. Their entire parcel requires incorporating your property and everybody else that's not developed there is about 20,500 square feet. If they gave us that setback area as open space, and we would eliminate the setback for the rest of their property so they wouldn't lose any use of any property, and we could give them slope and excavation rights, provided they restore the property to its original condition afterwards, so they could develop their own property and they wouldn't have to have open space in the future. Now, that may not be something that you may be able to do now. Okay, and I understand that, right? But that would be what we need to look at this whole thing and you know, consider it. Right now, with the application that's in front of us, with the open space isolated as it is, I personally can't see. I would not go for this, approve it, and we just had an example of a situation that was explained by the staff on a situation where we did have a good faith agreement with somebody that now turned into not such a good faith after they got through the commission. So I'm not going to recommend anything to this commission anymore that isn't solid site plan in front of us showing everything and properly bonded and approved.
I've, no, go ahead. Apologies.
I thought you were gonna,
No.
oh, it looked like you had.
Sure. Any other members of the commission have any?
Yeah, I would like to make a comment. I actually disagree. I think Tractor Supply is making an investment in Watertown in good faith. And I think they're buying this parcel that they've done so much work to try to accommodate everything that we wanted. The other parcel is not their beef, and we shouldn't have that beef with them. I understand we're using it for leverage, and I understand the importance of that. But I don't quite understand the whole open space concept when that was initially built on a village concept, which this is clearly not. But they are accommodating some open space. And I don't see where people will use that open space. I mean, I've gone through Veterans Park and there's about 10 benches there. And I've gone there 3 times and I have not seen anybody ever sit there, which would be the most appropriate spot for someone to sit and enjoy. I don't see myself saying, hey, honey, let's go to Tractor Supply and sit on their bench. So I don't always agree with the open space concept. I think we should have open space. I think we should buffer it. I think you guys should have open space if you're gonna do farmers markets and things like that. People are coming and they'll have a place to gather and do things. So I think it's important for you guys to want to accommodate your consumer with open space. But I think that Tractor Supply has done a great amount of work to make this viable. I think we should vote on it tonight and allow the elevations they want with the open space that they requested. I don't see a problem with what they're asking for. That's my opinion. I'm sorry I disagree, but that is my opinion.
And you're entitled to disagree. Any other commission
Through the
members?
chair?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
wasn't done
Go ahead, Dan.
before,
Go
sorry.
ahead, Dan.
I had a question for staff. When they label it potential, does that lock them into that space or can they just change it?
Well, the potential is just that. We've had several conversations. I've had a conversation in trying to clarify this issue with attorney Joe Yaman, who is part of the group that owns the adjacent property, and with attorney Jessel. And he points out, right, they cannot at this point, well, maybe that's a strong word, have not at this point committed to any specific location because they don't have a tenant for that property yet. And so they don't know what the potential layout will be. However, it's been pointed out that this is adjacent to Riverside. It's, there is I think a 35-foot setback. So theoretically, there isn't much more that can be done in that area. Attorney Jessel also pointed out that the commission does have the power of site plan approval for an adjacent parcel. And the expectations and I think, commitments that the property owner is attempting to make, along with the fact that the commission will get a review of that secondary parcel through site plan. And I think it does specifically say in the standards that if they don't meet if they don't develop to the satisfaction of the commission, you have the power of the veto to say no to that, whatever that format is that they bring forward. So the commission does have leverage.
So then the possible holds some water? It's not ironclad, but it holds some water.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. All right. To Lou's point, I do agree. You guys have put in a ton of work and we all want to see this happen. But what I don't agree on is it's our downtown and we need to make sure it's right. We get one shot at redoing our downtown. It's not often that you get such a large piece. And we worked for a long time to put our regulations together. And we devoted a whole section to making sure it worked for our town and for our townspeople. So they had a space to go and a space to walk around. And I think some of that was skirted, but we negotiated to get the green space. And now you're coming back in and the building's going up 10 feet from where it was. It's coming, or 7, sorry. It's coming 36 feet closer, which these aren't wins for the town. This is going to stand out more to our downtown. And I know it saves you guys a ton of money. And when you look at the green space you did on the way in, it looks like it was an afterthought. Like, well, it can't go anywhere else. We have to put it here, hanging over a retention pond. I don't think that was well thought out. I'm good if that was eliminated and we just relied on that piece behind the green. I understand why you're doing what you have to do, but we can't have the win one way. You guys win big because you save a ton of money and we get a taller building that's closer to the street that sticks out more to our downtown. So the win has to be shared. I don't expect it to be equal, but it does have to be shared.
And I agreed. I thought that we had worked towards that with several meetings with the staff and the commission in the past, that to accommodate for that wind, we were going to improve the sidewalk along Riverside as well as some street lighting, which I believe we put into the plans, or we at least talked about with Mark. And was a possible condition for tonight if this was pending.
Can you detail what you're doing in addition?
Absolutely. Do you have those details or?
Yeah,
Is is what you're doing in addition in the site plan that's in front of us tonight?
No, the site plan that was submitted to you,
Right.
so that's shown here. That's what you, I believe, all have in front of you. That does not have a sidewalk down Riverside. We did speak with staff this week about that, and before we get into the sidewalk, I do want to backtrack a little
Okay,
bit.
sure.
The common area that is designated here, the one that was approved, I want
I have a broken chair, but go ahead.
Okay.
It keeps on falling down lower.
The common area that was approved, it was just about 4,750 square feet, and the area we've kind of dedicated to this is 6,500 square feet. So it's a 37% increase in common area. And while I understand the continuity that the commission's looking for, the approved common area, I'll bring you back. If you remember, it was kind of a T intersection, and it was on the opposite side of the T, surrounded by a retaining wall. So in comparison, it's very similar, and there's a lot more green area around it. It's a larger area. To the commission's comment that it was unthoughtful. We actually, everything that has been thought about in the screening of this, the open space, the common area, that was kind of our first thoughts when we were going through this, because we've enhanced every point that has been made through this process. And that was our goal in this, because we knew it was going to be somewhat of a difficult process. And we believe, like I said, that this plan is both an enhancement for the developer from a cost perspective. It adds screening or maintains the screening that was proposed, increases the common area, and increases the open space of the whole property. That's, and the numbers prove themselves. That's how we feel on that. And I do want to make it clear that that was our goal with this project. I believe the continuity is the same. Prior, it was at the opposite side of a T intersection. So, I mean, now you have to cross the driveway. We've significantly improved the traffic movements of the driveway. We've significantly improved the grading of the driveway. It's going to be a much easier process for loading operations, which was a concern by the commission previously. I understand the commission's role, and you're right, you have one shot to kind of do this, but this is an approved site, and in all reality, I believe this is an enhancement to what was approved. So that's kind of where I stand there. To your point, Mr. Chairman, plans in front of you don't show that the sidewalk improvement. As Mr. Darling said, I think he'd be open for a condition of approval on that. And that would be right in the approval letter. I don't think that's something that would be like an assurity or anything. That would be contingent on the CO.
Would it be possible for you to incorporate these changes on your amended site plan application? And we can schedule another meeting in, let's say, 2 weeks, or just for you.
I have the site plan on a PDF I could pull up with the sidewalk shown. I know it wasn't submitted, but if that would be enough for you guys to approve it tonight, I think.
Well, what about the detention basin? You gonna do anything there?
I have the landscaping plan.
You have
provided.
everything for that we've discussed, Sam?
I believe so. It's on a different flash drive than this, and I could show that to you. We were pretty well aware that the commission had these concerns. We were hopeful that what it was submitted would be a kind of.
Yeah, because there wasn't a whole lot of time to resubmit a whole new, so
Yeah.
we have what's submitted, but we do have the alternatives. We brought
Well,
alternatives with
we'll
us.
take a look. I'm happy
Yeah.
to take a look at something. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we had the meetings, we had them just a few days ago, and we agreed that some of the, the requests were reasonable with regards to the sidewalk and the screening and the street lighting too. So we're on the same page, I think.
With that drawing, can you just go over and detail what you're gonna do? What will change? Like just, oh, okay, great. Thank you.
And the point of showing the adjoining neighbors or the current owner's, layout for his green space too, was to show that it's somewhat contiguous with ours as well. I mean,
Sure.
and you don't have to cross two driveways to get there, just one now, through a sidewalk to get from our newly proposed location to wherever you would put his in that general vicinity, which you would have, you know, basically unilateral authority on where he can put that, because you wouldn't need to approve a site plan of his if you didn't agree with it, right?
Through the
So-
chair, do you know how big his space is?
Again, the space that we showed was, well, Sam's not there. The space that we had on his side, we just showed I think it was like 10 or 15,000 feet. Again, it can be whatever in the end, just like his proposal can be what it is now and you can change your requirements too.
My thought was if yours, like I said, that it's over the retention pond, I just don't, to Lou's point, I don't think it'll get the use. So
Yeah.
my thought would be to eliminate the one on your side and just incorporate it all
Yeah.
onto that side.
If that's what the commission wishes, we'll certainly go along with that. But you know, I mean, look, these retention basins, you know, especially if they have some screening with trees and all that, I mean, they're not really that horrendous.
Yeah.
But there's greenery even inside of them. If you would prefer that they be mowed, they can be mowed and that would make them look fantastic, honestly. But, you know, well, either way.
The last 2 years, we've had a lot of overgrown retention ponds, so the town has been spending a lot of money
Yeah.
going through, cutting down all the trees and getting them all mowed out and cleaned out because of all the flooding. So
Well, I think
that's
it-
where the concern
yeah,
came up.
Through the chair, Dan's being nice. Nobody's ever cleaned detention ponds out that owns a piece of commercial land. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys aren't the same as everybody else because nobody cleans them.
Yeah. I mean, Tract Supply has over a dozen locations in the state, and the ones that they own and control, not the ones where they're a part of a shopping center. You know, those I think are a test for themselves that they're clean and orderly.
Do they own the one up in Winstead?
No,
Cause that's a sloppy mess.
that's Barkhamsted. That's part of a large shopping center, and that's
Correct.
yeah. Yeah. That's a whole different, and actually they just built
Broken
a brand new
trailers
building in
and-
front of, that was so bad that they had to build a brand new building in front of it
Yeah.
to retain their location.
Yeah.
It just turned over. It'll be opening in about 2 weeks.
Can I,
Sure.
does this come off?
You
Well, I think they have a
We
mic.
have a mic.
Oh, all right. I just wanted to be a little bit closer so I can.
We're very advanced in IT here in Warren.
So this plan before you on the screen here, this incorporates, so the minor changes that I think Mr. Chairman discussed, so. Staff mentioned that the commission might look for a sidewalk with a snow shelf. Between the property line and the existing curb line, there's about 5 feet. So to make a snow shelf work, there's not enough space. It would significantly alter the basin, and which would have negative impacts to our stormwater management. So what we've done is we've done a 5-foot concrete sidewalk down Riverside, and then you'll see in this bottom left corner, that's where the property line gets a little funky. It doesn't really follow the curb line of the road anymore. We were able to provide a little lawn area there, which could be utilized for that, the snow shelf that was mentioned. And then it connects back into the sidewalk at the corner of Henry Street and Riverside. One of the other alterations that's shown here, it's very small, but it's right by the sign. We are proposing a bench similar to what's in the town green with a trap barrel receptacle. And then the other thing that I believe Mr. Chairman said, having common area next to the detention basin, which was in his opinion viewed upon negatively. We do provide a fence with a swing gate, so equipment can get in and out of there for mowing. And that fence kind of provides screening as well as a safety factor, because this basin will at times have water in it after rainfall events. If you could flip to the other PDF, the landscape plan. So this is difficult to see the landscape plan, but the other alteration that we did make with the landscaping is we provided some buffering, some landscaping buffering between the common area and the detention basin. So I believe there's six trees shown there between there to further that buffering, because I hear that the commission kind of felt that was not a great location because of the detention basin. This plan maintains the deciduous trees along that slope. We'd be happy to propose them as evergreens. I did speak with our landscape architect. She somewhat had a disagreeing opinion on that. But she was open if the commission really felt the need to propose evergreens along that slope. We certainly could, as a condition of approval, and replace what is proposed there.
Would it be possible just to make it grass that's mowable in that area and the sloped area, and then at the up top area to have your evergreens? And would that be sufficient screening? I mean, then the basin would have grass around it rather than just trees all surrounding it, you know?
I think we definitely could do that. I just want to make it clear that the removal of those trees were requested by the commission trees.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I mean, we can certainly do that and provide the evergreens, but that kind of goes against the original.
Through the chair, they were, you are correct, they were.
Okay.
But after speaking to the town, because of trying to maintain, they felt that the trees being down that low would create a maintenance issue.
Okay, yeah, I mean, so it appears there's 2, 4, 6 trees and shrubs in the basin, more or less, along the bottom of the slope.
Right.
I think as a condition, we could remove those and make all the trees on that shelf, evergreen or of that sort as a condition.
And
we do.
through the chair, do you know why she disagreed with it? Was there?
She thought where it's the maintenance issue, she doesn't see that being an issue. She said the leaf removal is a common practice for any commercial plaza. Like this will have a property maintenance group. They'll routinely mow the lawns, they'll rake in the fall. She doesn't see it being an issue.
So our concern is that those leaves fall right into the detention pond. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's where they're gonna end up, and they jam it up and it has to get
Yeah.
taken out with a machine.
I like the evergreens, honestly. I think it's a better look.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're open.
Okay.
If you guys feel strongly about it, we can certainly.
Sure.
Make those, the 2, 4, 6, 8 on the top evergreens. And remove the ones down low.
What are the bushes or the trees between the detention basin and the park? It's hard to see, but there's 6 little circles there that are, they're there.
I can't read it on the screen. All of this.
Mr. Chair, just to make a point, this will be a privately maintained detention basin. This will not fall into the
Town.
city system.
Yep.
So they will have the responsibility.
Understood.
So through the chair, question for staff, how do you guarantee us that they're gonna clean that out? Have you had anybody clean them out ever?
Towns handle it in different ways. But
Yes or a no?
here in Watertown, the Public Works Department has worked actually with land use staff to as best they can, I guess, encourage private individuals to make them, number one, aware that they have detention basins on their property, and to encourage them to clean them out. Typically, can be a condition of approval, and it's a maintenance scenario that's placed on a land record. But it's a little bit of a challenge to make sure that people are aware of the basins and that they perform routine maintenance.
And through the chair, I've sent out letters and I've gone to many of the sites that do have detention basins, trying to get them to clean it out. And what I have somewhat observed is that the more, what am I trying to say? The bigger of the companies are usually the ones who are more likely to maintain the basins. This is just firsthand experience and kind of hearsay with what I'm saying with this, but from my own experience, that's what I have seen.
But we can certainly have a contract, recorded contract with penalties if it's not done properly. And
A bond.
you know, I mean, we could, I mean, in the future, so we don't have this problem going forward. If anybody has a detention basin and they promise, and it's gonna be privately maintained, they can sign a contract, we can record it on the land records and have penalties in it, so it's enforceable. If the town has to do that.
Through,
You know,
through the chair, we already do that.
we do.
Yes, it's in all of their agreements that they're to maintain. I'm not so concerned about UPS and about General Welding or anybody in the industrial park. I'm just concerned about the center of Oakville. I could care less about the other ones. So with my history, I'm on the Public Works Subcommittee and I keep hearing the Public Works Director say nobody cleans them. So, and I think Cameron, they saved that job for you because it's been an issue for years. And until you got hired, nobody got letters, nobody got visits. So how you're going to enforce it, I don't know.
Is it possible I know this wouldn't solve the problem in perpetuity, but you know, a bond of some fashion for as many years as you feel comfortable that needs to be held for, but you know, that I don't have any issue with that. It wouldn't be a very big number. Or because again, I'm not worried about it because we're gonna take care of it, but you know, if it makes you guys comfortable for a set amount of years and that keeps the property cleaned up for that many years, then of course you got to give it back at some point. But you know, obviously if we've shown that it's maintained for that long of a time and you haven't used the bond to do it for us, then I'm sure that we'll keep it going afterwards. But I don't know if it's, you know, 3 years, 5 years, you know, what, something like that for several thousand that the town can use to clean it if the occupant's not. But you know, I'm open to suggestions.
In my experience, diligent education and diligent overview go a long way. And I will agree, I believe that in more corporate settings or retail settings such as this, they're certainly more likely to listen to the town and to perform the maintenance. It's when you get into the small developments, the residential developments where they have a detention basin and the homeowners are tasked with funding its maintenance. That's where you really get into more of the issues.
And through the chair, and the only reason I got stuck on this is the fact that the trees that you picked, I think, are the right trees. And we're sitting here worried about the leaves not getting cleaned up. Those are the right trees to plant as long as they take care of the detention pond. Because we do want to not see that building forever. I mean, those trees will grow nice, more so than a evergreen or something. Evergreens are gonna look kind of off over there unless you put dozens of them. So I like the trees they picked. I just like some reassurance that they're gonna clean up the leaves, that's all.
I will, through the chair, if I may,
Sure.
the stormwater management plan that was submitted does include an operation maintenance plan. And continual annual maintenance is part of that, so that will be, I know it is part of the approval, and condition of the approval potentially too, so. I know we've worked on a slew of Tractor Supplies throughout the region. And in our experience, as soon as they open, they're pretty well maintained, throughout the first at least 5 years. Matt can probably speak to longer than that.
Yeah, all the new developments that you know, they're in a fair number of centers that are 50, 60, 70 years old. But all the stores that we've built and that they've built from ground up, even that they're still standing to date, they're all cleaned.
Yeah, another thing that with this, Tractor Supply is a national retailer. They're making a significant investment in this property. They're not investing in the property for it to degrade immediately. That's not the intent here.
Clearly.
Especially when the pond is in front of their building, you know,
Yeah,
they want good curb appeal too.
Yeah, the appearance and aesthetics of their commercial property only negative or positively impacts them as well. So like I said, we'd be open if the commission has strong feelings that evergreens are the correct tree there.
I personally don't think they are, but
Yeah, and then the other trees, the 6 buffering trees that are proposed kind of adjacent to the fence on the detention base of the backside of the common area, those are, eastern red cedar, so it's 6 eastern red cedar, trees, which, once they're mature, will provide some overstory,
Yeah.
shade and buffering.
Through the chair, I know we talked about the sidewalks on Riverside. You're adding a bench, a garbage receptacle. Was there, you said lights?
Yes.
There was not like proposed, I certainly.
We talked about lights.
Yeah.
I thought you put them in
You- I thought you just mentioned it.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
we-
I kind of want to hear from, either the town engineer or town staff, kind of how many we're looking for.
Okay.
But we certainly be.
we talked about decorative light poles. I don't remember the quantity. It wasn't it wasn't a lot. It was, I think I remember 3, but it could be whatever the adequate number used to be. And,
And I think those would be the same lights that we have in the common area and.
Right.
driveway.
Yeah, the decorative ones.
The-
Yeah.
The ones that's in the outbreak,
Okay.
I believe I got that detail from. Yeah.
Is
a
that,
lot of this conversation came.
Sitting there smoking pot without lights, so.
Mhm. I have
Is-
another question
sorry,
through the
hold on.
chair. I'm sorry.
is that the list of changes? The sidewalk, 1 bench, 1 trash receptacle, 3 lights? Is that correct?
Yes, well, again, it could be, I mean, if you wanted to leave the condition up to the town engineer to have the final say, we can do that, yeah,
Okay.
but. Yeah, when we had the conversation, I remember the numbers being given to us.
Yep.
We didn't propose that number,
No,
but
that's fine. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure I understand. I know
We
it's
keep-
not on the drawing, so I just
we
want.
should probably condition one of those lights to be over the park bench. I mean, at minimum.
Sure.
You know, and then
Yep.
the other 3 can be, or 4 can be distributed amongst, where the town engineer prefers.
Okay.
If I may, through the chair, I have a couple other comments. So the first comment is that I've been to a lot of Tractor Supplies and even the one in Bark Hampstead, even though it's a hot mess, but they're building a new building to address that.
Right.
So it tells what kind of company Tractor Supply is. They care about the locations. Most of the locations are very well maintained and I believe very well operated. My second point is that I know it's a concern of everybody here about that other green space that the developer says that he would propose to. When you're looking at the plans, there's really not a whole lot that he can really do there. So I don't think it would be unreasonable if we made it a condition of the approval that they keep that spot for the green space. I think the developer, that other developer is not unreasonable and I think he would agree with it. Because what's he really gonna do with it? You got a 35-foot setback, you got that other pond up there.
Yep.
There's very little space for him to do anything, so I don't think he would have a hard time saying, I will commit that space to green space. And when whatever he develops it, but at least we know it's committed. And I don't think it'll be unreasonable to say no to that.
Yeah, and that area that you're mentioning it is delineated on this plan.
Mhm.
Yep, similar to the rendering. It does say potential, obviously.
Mhm.
Both at this time, but
The other, I don't have any problem with that at all. I don't know if that's can be legally bindable at this point, since it's not part of the application. That's up for staff and the town
Exactly.
attorney. But I will say that in a conversations I had with the seller, is that we've shown it here because it's close to our park, and we were trying to make it contiguous. And he's fine with it being there. However, his actual preference is for it to be closer to the Veterans Memorial Park. But in showing it on this plan, it separates it further from our area, and we weren't sure where the best place for it to be. And with it being a future development, you might not want to string yourselves to a certain area right now, because
Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so, he actually does prefer it to be part of the Veterans Memorial Park and to be an extension of it in conversations that we've had, and even that he's had with the town. So yeah, I think Mark can attest to that. But we did show it here again to try to accommodate, because we just weren't really sure where at that point. And again, all this happened like Monday, so.
Yes.
I just want to say something kind of common sense about that. You can ask, we can ask, you can't insist. It's somebody else's property.
You can insist when he does apply for a permit.
We could.
You can, yeah,
I'm saying you could ask.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't insist.
Yeah.
Then the ball comes back to us when the time comes, but
right.
it's kind of a moot point because he can say, yeah, sure. You can't make him do it. You,
I mean, one of the things as well with this design, the modification is the driveway for his adjoining property is going to be set. You know what I mean? The two locations that he's gonna be connecting into. I think this was mentioned, there's not gonna be too much else he could, there's a 35-foot setback. And then there's the driveway probably 15 or 20 feet beyond that. He's not gonna be able to build a building between the driveway and the property line or the town green either way. So it's either gonna be landscaping or a park, or that will. Your point, come before you under a separate application.
bocce court.
Yeah.
Through the chair,
Sure.
I have to agree with Lou. I like this plan better than the other plan. I had some concerns about the other plan. Trees or not trees, not a big deal for me. Sidewalk also not a big deal for me. No one's gonna be walking up and down to go buy something from Tractor Supply. They're gonna need a truck. Being somebody that goes to Tractor Supply on a weekly basis, so. And I've been at the Barkhamsted one, the Litchfield one, the Naugatuck one, a lot of them, so. I definitely think the turnarounds are good. I think all about it is really good. I don't think. We can say they need to do that in the space that they don't own, so. The way it's said, I would totally vote yes on it tonight. That was the case, and again, that's just my opinion too.
Through the chair, I agree with John that maybe it is an overreach for us to require the other property owner to commit to that, so I take that back. And thank you, Bob. I withdraw that comment.
I would still like to see, the actual plan submitted with all the things that you're gonna do, and whatever we decide is the trees are gonna be, or the basin's gonna be, or the sidewalk's gonna be, and the lighting's gonna be. I'd like to see it in one plan, and we'll accommodate and make a special meeting quickly to look at, but I'd like to see it on a plan that's been formally submitted rather than something that we just see now. I mean, I understand that all these concerns, but I'm much more comfortable having something in front of us that's been submitted to us that we can look at and say, okay, this is what they're going to do, and we'll make a decision at that point. Making a decision with all these conditions, we don't really know what they are 100% until it's in front of us. That's my feeling on this.
If I may, I think we'd be open, I know it doesn't appear that Mr. Chairman kind of feels as a similar sentiment, but I think we'd be open to kind of specific conditions that outline what we've talked about tonight, so we can submit a final copy to staff for recording signature. And I think that's what these two plans up here show. Unfortunately, this came across ours on Monday, otherwise we would have had this all submitted to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's up to commission. I mean, I obviously have an interest. It's prime, construction season. I would really like to get going on it. I've already lost a couple months, and it's my fault. But if we could get going, it would be a huge benefit to us, and I get that. But that's it's kind of why I want to give back and give the town the sidewalk and the lights and all that. So I understand. If you can get comfortable with having the conditions and having your staff oversee that to make sure we do it right, I would appreciate that. But that's just an ask of mine.
Through the chair, I am in the construction world, so I get what you're saying, and that's why I asked you to detail them. So it is all on record.
Yeah.
And the extras are much appreciated. With staff saying the potential holds some water, I would be good with setting the restrictions and just.
Because I think how it would work is if we were to approve it without the full plans and you had the conditions, we would have to submit a plan that then satisfies staff. Staff would then have to say, okay, this meets the condition that we all talked about that night. And I think staff has a pretty good understanding of what the commission wants and where those trees are going to go and the trees that we're going to eliminate and replace. So that was, you know, a plan submittal based on what we talked about tonight would still be required and that plan would still have to be approved, but just by staff, not, you know.
This is deja vu all over again with the staff, and conditions and approval that we just had with the HVAC systems on the medical building at the corner of Bunker Hill and Straits Turnpike, where an applicant did not work in good faith. I'm interested in protecting the commission and making sure that we have something solid in front of us. I don't want to delay your project. But that's my concern. I don't like having last minute changes subject to staff approval. I would like the commission to actually see it
Mhm.
and approve it. And that way we know we'd have some solid, that we can work on a solid base, a solid foundation that was presented to us in writing, you know, boom. And staff is not the commission.
I understand, yeah.
We can delegate to staff, but too much delegation can lead to some confusion. And that's my position. And we would accommodate and move it, have it 2 weeks, prepare this, bring it in front of us, and we can approve it. That's what I think. And
Okay.
but I'm not the commission. I'm just one member of the commission.
Yeah. Well, we respect each and every one of you, so,
Right.
thank you.
Through the chair, do you have a list of what you're going to add to the site plan? I mean, we talked about lights. How many lights?
Well, so I can go through it if you want. I mean, it's all shown there, but I understand that wasn't submitted prior to tonight's hearing. So
Right, but just,
I can go through it.
it's Sam, right? Sam, how
Correct.
many lights?
So I believe it'd be one over the proposed bench on Riverside,
Okay,
and then 3 kind of equidistant, the remainder of Riverside to the corner of Henry.
okay,
So 4 total.
okay.
And those would be the kind that are as part of this application, the lamp post kind that was provided by the DPW for, and I believe requested by the commission, that more decorative lights as opposed to just an LED.
Are the 2 weeks, is that really a big deal to get this stuff on the print and come back? Because I go either way. I mean, if you could get it on the print, that'd be great. If 2 weeks means the world to you, then I guess we could vote tonight.
I mean, it does, but you know, I mean, it's 2 weeks, so we could go either way on it. I would really, really like to stay out of the winter if I can, get this thing opened up by the fourth quarter. You know, I'm not gonna threaten to say I'm gonna walk away from this project.
Right, no, I
But
get it.
you know, the 2 weeks would mean a heck of a lot to me. It really, because I'm already so far behind.
I just also, the chairman made a comment kind of when there's confusion, it does lead to delegation that is kind of gray. I think the commission staff and the applicant, I mean, I think we're all on the same page here. I think the only thing is just providing the plan really to the town.
And I do think I know you have this other issue with the HVAC company, but you know, I do believe, is there typically a landscape bond that would be required as part of either the zoning permit or the building permit? The town usually require a landscape bond here in Watertown? Because that would give teeth. I mean, the landscaping seems to be a big issue, right? And that's the one thing the landscaping of everything is the primary omission on these plans. The updated landscaping. So, I mean, if, you know, we talk about tonight, I know you got delegated and you have to rely on staff to ensure that the commission's wishes are met on the plans, but then assuming that happens and then we don't build it to that spec, well, with the bond, it would give the town teeth to then fix it on our dime. But I don't know if the town is willing to do that.
I believe we could take some bonds. We're not, in the normal course of business, don't do that. The Inland Wetlands Agency does. I think some landscape bonds are taken, but you know, we certainly could consider that.
I mean, the bond, we could certainly have an agreeable amount that's not, I guess, 3,000 like the other application. That would have some
I wasn't
teeth
gonna
to it.
suggest 3,000.
Yeah. It would have some teeth to it, so it would allow, if there were to be any issues, there wouldn't be.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Just. I have a lot of confidence in these guys. The commissioner's right about, you know, us making the decision. I'm looking at that project. I think all you guys could figure out these trees, the lights, the grass, what kind of grass. I can't tip my hand how I'm voting, but it doesn't seem like deal breakers. That's all I'm saying for the size of this project and what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got a bond, if we do a bond, which I thought was a good idea.
Yeah.
Work with them. Commissioner will, they know what they're doing and they know what we want.
I have
And
a
you're
real
paying a
question.
price for a past project that, you know, for lack of a better term, kind of screwed us.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like doing that. I don't, you know, you don't pay for my sins. So that's just how I think.
Louis?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Dave.
Nope, I was gonna, through the chair, if there was no further discussion, I was gonna make a motion for a conditional approval.
Are those plans pretty much everything in there except the lights, the trees, the bench and the sidewalk, or those have the sidewalk?
That has the sidewalk.
Does that have the bench?
Yeah.
And it has the trash.
Does it trash and does it have the trees?
The landscape plan does.
Just doesn't have the lights.
Could we submit those plans tonight and just say the two conditions will be adding the lights?
You can.
And
keep
change the
flashlights,
street,
yeah.
and you got a file right here, you could email it, you could submit that. Then all we have to do is put a condition on there for the lights.
And correct that the.
And then
spaces
Dan can
for-
make a conditional recommendation that it would include the lights and submittal of the new plans that you're showing us tonight. And I think we could get this ball rolling for you guys.
We could
Question,
re-
is the sidewalk just a retaining wall and then a sidewalk? And is there any grass there?
I can explain,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we could reference specifically these plans in the approval, and they would therefore be held to the plans that they're submitting tonight, if in fact they cover all of the outstanding items.
Yeah,
We,
It's not many.
is there a date on the plan?
There are, I approved it today, that.
Okay.
So with that, we could amend our
I have a question
resolution here
pending.
with that.
Please just answer my question, then you can go to Cameron. Thank you. About the grass and is there any grass on the sidewalk? That's the question.
So the sidewalk, it's tough to see, just on the scale of the plant. You can zoom in and scroll down a little bit. A little bit more. Okay, so that's good right there, thank you. So the sidewalk is a 5 foot wide concrete sidewalk. There's no grass proposed, where the property jogs to the plan east, of the driveway, there's no grass proposed.
Okay,
Between the curb line of the street and the property line is only about 5 feet, so that's just gonna be sidewalk.
that's it, yeah.
The corner down towards Henry and Riverside, that's where we were able to add that lawn area, which is, it's kind of like an oval,
Mhm.
arching shape down at the
Okay.
bottom here. It's right above the contract of maintaining granite curbing.
Okay,
So that's the area that we did provide lawn, and we do have a notation on here that if, any of the granite curbing is disturbed on the replacement of the sidewalk, will be replacing that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is that gonna be maintained by the developer? I mean, the owner?
The sidewalk,
Yeah,
it's part of the public.
part,
right-of-way.
right, including the grass there?
Mhm.
I would
Yeah,
I don't think mowing it would be.
no,
I mean,
I don't have a
Right,
problem with
okay,
that.
good. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Yep.
You just keep it.
All right, so there's a motion. Did you make a motion?
I would like to.
Okay, make a motion.
So I make a motion that we approve the site plan approval with the new drawings dated 6/4/25 with some conditions. The drawings do show the sidewalks, but I just want to note it in this, that there will be sidewalks from the entrance down to Henry Street. They're adding 4 lights, 4 decorative lights. They're adding 1 bench. They're adding a trash receptacle. The green space has been moved over towards the green potentially. The trees, we did make suggestions, but I would just leave it as best suggestion on those since they will have to maintain it. There will be a bond for retention pond cleaning. I would say a 5-year bond of $10,000. There would be a landscape bond for $20,000. And that's what I have.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion, any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do we, I'm confused about moving the green space. What's that all about?
So they had on their first drawing, they showed the potential over by the green. So it was hashed out in red.
Oh, okay, yes, I'm good.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about what's to the left of the entrance, right? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just suggest up the bond to 20,000 for 5 years, just my quick estimate on this.
You amended.
Sure, I'd like to amend the motion and up the bond for the pond cleaning. Is that to 20,000?
I'll second that amendment.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you for the upgrades. It's appreciated.
No,
Thank
it's
you,
our
guys.
pleasure. Hopefully, we're not coming back for another amendment again.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll look forward to a beautiful Tractor Supply.
Yeah,
It'll be good.
I think they're gonna do a great job.
You guys have to stay for the rest of
Your penance, your penance. All right, the next item under new business is a site plan from Sultan Ayash. Is that, am I pronouncing that correctly? Ayash?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. For a 6,462 square foot indoor playground arcade with 2 signs located at 58 Commercial Street, Watertown, in an IR 80 zone. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So Sultan Ayash here.
Good evening.
We're here just discussing the proposal we've had proposed before about having a little arcade in town. Just new project for kids. Yes, I used to own a liquor store, but now I'm moving forward for for kids now. I took care of the parents for 10 years, now the kids. So my kids growing in town, living in town, you know, we did a little survey with all the parents in schools. What do we need in town? At this level, everybody said somewhere to take our kids to, besides park, indoor playgrounds. We travel at least 40 to 45 minutes to do a birthday party for any kid, and we don't have anywhere close to us. My kids, 5, 8 years, we travel to Cheshire, Danbury, Bristol, you know, just for a birthday party. We don't have anything like this in town, and we're trying to start a new one. The location we found, unfortunately, is in this industrial area there. It's been vacant for a while. It's 6,400 square feet. The whole building, we would love to take over the whole building eventually, but there's a tenant next door and they have still like 4.5 years left in their lease. If this got approved, I mean, it's all the positive things that would bring to town. Real estate wise, this has been vacant, no taxes paid. We're getting more arcade games, playground that would start from 1 year to 10 years old kids. It's all healthy environment. Parents can socialize. Kids can meet new kids from other schools, from town and other towns. Just they can develop, you know, a lot of skills here. So this is basically our proposal.
Well, I like it, but Mark, is there what's the zoning here? What, do we have to do something here?
Funnily enough, when we were going, sorry, Cameron,
Go
through
ahead,
the chair.
Cameron,
Funnily enough, when we were going through the zoning regulations for this zone, in the whereas it says indoor/outdoor recreational facility with customary accessory use of food for customers are allowed by site plan approval within the within the
Kind of odd
zone.
for an indoor place, right? Yeah.
We were thinking the same thing.
So, but it's a permitted use in the zone.
Correct.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Through the chair. 58 commercial, is that right behind McDonald's?
Correct.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Plus, there's a lot of restaurants there, and we're not gonna have any alcohol, food, anything on premise. So that also would support like local businesses. They can get their own food, drinks, but like no alcohol on premise. And we can support all restaurants around us, you know.
So they could bring their own food in, but you won't have a kitchen. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, if, no kitchen,
Right.
yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Through the chair, I like this idea a lot. I think this is great. I do have a couple small questions. I'm familiar with the place. I know there's a lot of parking, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Have you spoken to the fire marshal on this and gotten any input from the fire marshal?
We did not.
Okay. Something that we'd probably want to do. Have you opened anything like this before? Is this something new, a new venture?
I mean, yes, this kind of business, yes.
Okay. I was just curious about any kind of safety plans or equipment or anything like that that's on site.
I've done a lot of researches. I've met with a lot of other, you know, same business owners. I've got a lot of ideas, you know, especially safety wise, like there's a plan I provided, it's not shown here, but like it shows there's 3 emergency exits in this 6,400 square feet. It's safe, like from the back and the front of the building, there's 3 exit emergency. It's very safe, it's flat, there's no up and down, there's no windows, it's safe.
Good.
Yeah, there's no trampoline, there's no jumping, there's no ropes, there's nothing, just a
Right.
playground, arcade video games. And eventually, if we take over the rest of the building, or if they give us more space, we might add laser tag, VR experience, but everything on ground, nothing, like there's no huge liability, nothing. But there's 12 feet height ceiling. The highest video game would be like 9 feet, 8 feet, like that's over what we need. Even the playground, you can customize it. Like I want it 5 feet. You can order one 5 feet. You can order like 20 feet. So,
Excellent.
you know, yeah. And the birthday rooms for parties there, they're already built there.
Yep.
There's the plan is not shown, but like there's 20 by 20. There's three birthday party rooms there. There's enough room for storage, bathrooms, everything is set up, just, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
How many people do you think you'll have employed there?
Well, my study so far on this 64, it has to be up to 10 people, 10 kids, 10, you know, but just definitely we're having like 10 employees at least.
So is it an employee per amount of kids?
No, it's just the playground by itself needs at least like 4 to 5 people. The hygiene is number one thing that we have to
Right.
follow up. Like you need, on the plan that I have is a 20 by 80. You're talking about this space is just for playground where you have like 2 or 3 kids just wiping and cleaning and vacuuming. So these are 3 people on playground.
Yeah.
Talking about birthday rooms, on every birthday room, you have one person like, you know, in charge.
Right.
Then the video games is the same thing, the arcade games, you have to always wipe. So it's just the hygiene is basically, and people to watch around, you know.
And who's the other tenant in the building?
They train dogs there.
Oh, yeah, we just.
But there's, yeah, the K9, there's no dogs on premise.
Yeah, no, I get that.
We've met our neighbor there, and there's a trainer and the owner of the dog, like they just like with 2 cars there. They're, yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah,
My
they're
daughter's
using, they're
27,
using a
so
very minimum part of the parking lot.
Yeah. My kid's 27, so I don't know what goes on in these places.
Any other commission members? I would like to make a motion that we approve this, subject to the fire marshal, the condition that the fire marshal also
Of
approve
course.
the layout.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to see you, Adam.
Got Adam here.
Yes. And you, Sultan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice presentation.
Yeah,
Good luck.
thank you.
Good luck with it. I think it's gonna go hot with McDonald's right next door.
Thank you.
You can accept DoorDash. All right. The next item on the agenda is Planning and Zoning Commission proposed zone change pertaining to the IR 80 and BSC zoning district located on Commercial Street. Set a date for the public hearing. What would be the date for a public hearing in this proposed zone change, Carol?
The August regular meeting.
August meeting, okay, August. I mean, July. Do we have, no July?
Oh, no meeting in
August.
You have no
Six.
meeting in July.
All right, so. Do I hear a motion to set a public hearing for August sixth?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's done. Planning and zoning proposed text amendment to clarify the set date for public hearing again. Do I hear a motion for August sixth on that public hearing?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all fit in favor?
Aye.
All right, for doing regular commercial vehicles, keep them in with the president. This is number E, our letter E, Planning and Zoning Commission proposed text amendment for our zoning regulation change concerning commercial vehicles, section 51D, 5.1D, and the keeping of animals in residential zone, section 5.20, set date of public hearing. Okay, is this, Cameron, a question on this, is this the proposed, new regulations for commercial vehicles?
Correct,
Okay.
as well.
Has there, a question for the commission for discussion, has everybody had an opportunity to see that and read and look and think about it?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so let's set the date for public hearing on that for,
You want to see if there's any comments?
well, sure, we could do that now. Sure, do we have? Let's talk about it. Go, Danny.
I guess I'm going
All right.
first. Through the chair. I did read these and I understand where people are coming from. Being someone that's in the trades, I know that we have a shortage of people that are in the trades. And in town, and so we want more people to be in the trades and they need vehicles. And the other thing we have in town is a shortage of land. So we want more people in the trades, but then we don't have places for them to park. I currently have a shop in Wolcott because I can't find space in town. And I've been in that shop for over 10 years and I still haven't been able to find a space that works for me. So we are very short on space. And my concern is, where are we gonna push these people to park if they can't park in their own property? So, and I understand the flip side. It doesn't look good, and I think some people abuse what they have. They'll park a dump truck right in their driveway. I think that is a problem. But I think we also, there has to be a mid-ground here. And I personally don't feel that these get to that mid-ground. I think it's
Too strict.
yeah, a bit too strict. Especially if you have a home that has two tradespeople, whether it be a husband and wife, father, son, whatever it is. They can't both have an F-350 in the driveway. And now it's even down to a 250 because we're using the 10,000 GVWR. And there's plenty of 2500s that are surpassed that. So again, with the shortage of land and space to actually put the vehicles on, I just want to be thoughtful of that. That's all. I think you did a good job in laying it all out and looking at other towns. But maybe other towns have more land. I'm not sure, but I know we don't have it. And we're gonna tell them you can't park here, but we're not gonna be able to say you can park here because it doesn't exist. So that's just my concern.
I have a question through the chair for the staff. How did this evolve? Were you getting complaints or what happened here?
We've had many complaints with commercial vehicles being parked in residential zones. For the most part, they're contractor vehicles that are mostly a pickup with a dump truck body. And with that, we have been told to enforce the current regulations, which are also in the packet, that those are not allowed at all other than by special permit. So anytime that comes up, we do have to send them a notice of violation, or at least first a friendly letter saying you can't park here. And then if they continue to, which many of them, including one person on the agenda, has to do it because that's one of his only vehicles currently. We still have to enforce the zoning regulations, and so.
I totally
what's being
disagree
brought
with it. Totally. You're gonna tell someone who's been parking in their driveway an F-350 with their name on the door that they can no longer park it in their driveway? Is that what I just heard?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Through the chair,
I'll never vote for it.
agree. Don't agree with that at all.
For the chair, I also agree. I think that I've seen houses that not only have their F-350, but they got a trailer behind it with a skid steer on it with cement mixers and I think that's a little much, but I think if somebody's driving an F-350 like Dan, and that's all he's got, he parks in front of his house, I think that should be more than acceptable. I don't think they should run a construction site off of it. And I know that there's 3 or 4 houses that actually are doing that. And my brother lives on a street where he wishes he could do something because it's, pipes and it's a mess and it's really an eyesore. So when they go over that, I think it's good, but I think allowing a commercial vehicle, if it was a form of a F-350 or even a Mason dump, that I don't think is that hideous. As long as there's nothing else attached to it, I would not be in agreement with this as well.
Through the chair, I think if the vehicle fits in your driveway, knock yourself out. But to start parking skid steers in the front yard or on the side yard or in the backyard, like a couple people do up on Litchfield Road, I mean, yeah, I think there's some enforcement that needs to take place. But to tell someone they can't park a truck with their name on it in their driveway is just not right.
Well, I think what we probably should have some regulation, but it should be more lenient and more understanding of the situation that we have in town. But I think we do need regulation of some sort to cover the situation where somebody wants to put a tractor trailer, or a large vehicle that's for construction, so I'm not against the regulation per se, but I think that I understand everybody's position, but we do need something. So we ought to take another look at it.
Through the chair, I
Yes.
completely agree with all the commission members here. What I'm currently enforcing is the current zoning regulations as they currently stand, as those types of trucks aren't allowed via our current regulations. And so this new one is looking to amend it to alleviate these issues of which you have brought up as well. And that's why I also implore you, as well as you are doing, to give me these opinions, as well as to voice any changes you would like to do, and which is why also during the public hearing, we would like that to happen as well with the residents of the town.
Okay, so we'll have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't even know where to start. 45 years ago, we moved here, and my father at the time owned a Ford dealership, and we bought a beautiful house in a beautiful neighborhood. And the trucks had the name of the dealership on the doors. I worked in the parts department. My brother worked whatever. So we had 2 trucks, pickup trucks in the driveway, and someone turned us in. And we had to stop doing that. That was 45 years ago. I mean, I just, I think everybody, I see so many trucks on the road in this town with their businesses advertised on the doors. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna listen to you anyhow, even if it passed, and nobody's gonna enforce it, let's face it. Nobody's gonna enforce it.
Through the chair, this is why he wants us to amend it, so make it more favorable for those people to have it. So I
Sure.
think it's a good thing for us to do.
Sure, but I think this says that you can't park a F-350 in your driveway with your name on it. Correct.
Oh, you can do a magnetic sign.
Yeah, take it off when you get home at night.
Through the chair, which regs currently say that with the F-350?
No, I heard somebody say that you can't park an F-350 in your driveway. I'm assuming it's in this document.
So the one on the top is current, the first one right there, that's our current regulations concerning vehicle parking. And as you can see, it's a little bit more strict with that, where
You guys would have to hire some serious staff to manage this.
correct, which is why we're trying to fix it now, where
Yeah.
with the new one, we're looking to make it into a, for the first one or two, make that into a zoning permit with screening from the roadway, because the issue with it, we believe the spirit of the law is in order to beautify, for lack of better words, beautify our residential neighborhoods. To keep- Correct, correct with that. And so what this new regulation is looking to do is make that into more of a streamlined process, instead of making them go to for a special permit, which it costs about, how much is it about with this special permit? 200,
About $500.
about $500. It would be a zoning permit it would be a zoning permit instead, for the first one or two. And then afterwards, then it would be a special permit, because now we're getting into a point of, let's get the commission involved, because this may be turning into a parking lot. So let's figure this out.
So this says a full-size pickup truck might be considered a commercial vehicle.
Mhm.
Pickup truck's like the #1 selling vehicle in the world. There's a lot of them out there.
Correct. That's
Right.
with our current regulations, and that's a problem we're seeing as well.
Right.
This is the current.
You're looking at the current. I'm looking at,
Yeah, that's the current.
right.
I was confused too. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it currently says. If you go to
If I may, I think if we start with,
like the
we
fourth.
start with the absolute ones that we don't want.
Yeah, good
You know,
idea.
just start there, okay? And then go backwards, right? Because I'm thinking everybody could agree on certain things that you definitely,
Like the toll booths. You know, whether you do tonnage or apps, I don't know, I'm not a gearhead, but I mean, maybe there's something like that.
Through the chair, with that, we've taken that into consideration, and in the book, we also are using CTDOT regulations with that, where if you look in that packet, you can see that there is CTDOT standards for size of the vehicle and what type. And so that's what we're that's what we're going to be basing these new regulations on, instead of these broad categories that the current regulations are being based on. This way it brings in more clarification into where enforcement stands on it, and what is exactly allowed in these zones.
My neighbor takes a tow truck home when he's on call. So, you know, there's a tow truck in his driveway. He can't take it home if he's on call, or?
If we received a complaint for it, I would have to do an enforcement action on it. If you could please state it for the record, please.
Cameron, through the chair, quick question. It also says, section 5.2, 5.1.d, in keeping of animals. Who's keeping animals in a driveway?
Oh, that's kind of an omnibus thing. That's going to be just really a one-word change with our current animal keeping regulations, where currently they specify just chickens, and we're looking to just change that to poultry. So that's more of that's a different category.
Thought somebody was keeping animals in their driveway.
In their trucks.
You look hard enough, you'll find it.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
we
my
don't want a
wife,
truck full of chickens in the driveway.
my wife considers me an animal, so she keeps me outside all the time, you know? All right, we good?
Well, we have old business, a couple things.
So what do we do with item E?
Well, we're just gonna set a public hearing date, August, do I have a motion to set it for?
So moved.
August sixth,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Then we're old business, we have no action required for this number 9, so we'll just skip over it. All right, or table it, we'll table it, why don't we table it? Motion to table item number 9.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, all right. Continue public hearings. This was Attorney Pillacy is no longer available, I guess, so.
It's not a continued public hearing.
So we have the proposed text amendment for zoning regulations. We either, in this situation, we have to, we can't table this because the time, I believe, is expired. Is that correct, Mark?
Actually, Mr. Chair, that, I'm just noticing number 10 is mislabeled. It's not a continued public hearing. You did close the public hearing at the last meeting. So now there's 65 days to make a decision. Attorney Pillacy left. I thought he might stay and say that I believe he wanted to keep it on the agenda until the commission opens or makes a consideration in August. So we will.
Wait, are we beyond the 65 days?
You will be.
Yeah. Has he given us an extension in writing?
No.
I think we should protect ourselves. We should deny this. All right, and then we have it, we're gonna have on August 6th, we're gonna have a new public hearing on creating a BSC zone, which will get his client what they want if we do approve that. Okay, but if we don't do anything now, it'll be forced upon us and we'll have a change in the IR 80 zone that we don't really want. All right,
So
so
why are we? I wasn't in the last meeting. What did I miss? Cause I thought this was a no-brainer. This is in the car. It's in Car Alley. It's right.
You didn't miss anything. What we're gonna do is we're gonna change the zone to BSC, and that will allow the cars to be inside the building because we didn't want it to do an industrial zone, change the text for industrial zones to include cars in all the buildings throughout the town.
Gotcha.
Okay, so what, do I hear a motion to deny this text amendment, number 10?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. They'll still get what they want, but it can't be, can't be done that way. And okay, so now number 11 on the agenda is a new public hearing. Special permit. This is kind of like what we just went through with the commercial vehicle issues, right?
Mhm.
Why don't we we'll lump it in with that, okay? Do I hear a motion to set a public hearing on this for August 6th?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's done. Communication and bills? None. Next meeting, August 6th. Hey, guys, enjoy, motion for adjournment and enjoy the July off, guys.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.